From R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we go into the details on how to know if you're on track for retirement. Now, everyone's answer to this question is really based around the math of it all. There is a little bit of an emotional decision that has to be made here or there, but if you're not careful and your entire decision on whether or not to retire is emotional, you may find yourself feeling emotions of being overwhelmed or stressed your entire retirement. Let's make sure that those numbers look good as well and map out a plan for how you will generate the income you need to lead the lifestyle you desire. If you're listening to the show and have not yet taken an opportunity to leave us an honest review or a rating, we would greatly appreciate it. And of course, always feel free to share this show with anyone you feel may benefit from its contents. So we're going to get directly into this episode, the Retirement Matters Podcast, titled How to Know If You Are on Track for Retirement. Enjoy the show. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well and you're ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. On the docket for today's show, we are going to cover a wide range of topics, things like artificial intelligence and how it may impact the workforce as a whole. Not only how it impacts your specific job, but the workforce that we know as the American workforce and what we could potentially see changing along the way. We're going to talk about the waves that have been caused by a lot of back and forth on Twitter between two individuals who are pretty popular in the news right now. And one of our clients, we're going to bring up a question that they had in office about a specific person and how a tweet or a Truth Social post could influence the market in such a way. And we're also going to ask you this simple question and tell you how to answer it for yourself. Are you on track for retirement? All of this is in today's show. But before we jump into Retirement Matters, I want to discuss our Pause for Positivity this week. And for this week's Pause for Positivity, we're going to discuss a county official in the local community of Campbellsville, Kentucky, one of the areas that we serve. We've got an office in Campbellsville. And this station that you're listening to may even be located in Campbellsville. It depends on where you're listening and when you're listening to the show. But I'm confident that if you are anywhere close to the Taylor County area, you have at least known of the recent county fair that went on. And I have got to brag on the leadership there. The entire team has put on an incredible show this week. And as it wraps up, I just want to shine a quick spotlight on our local county fair board here in Campbellsville, Kentucky. An incredible team effort this week, and you have impacted a lot of people. That aligns with our mission, our vision, and who we are here at RDS Wealth is to impact people in a positive way, and you have definitely done that. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to the leadership. Alex Cox, if you know this young man, he is an incredible guy with a very positive outlook and contagious smile. He is a gentleman who has definitely helped bring some excitement to the communities that he serves. And again, the Fair Board President, Alex Cox, thank you for leading your wonderful team in delivering a solid Taylor County Fair. We appreciate that. And again, if you see Alex out, go ahead and tell him thank you. If you see any of the Fair Board workers out there, tell them thank you. It's not easy setting out in the hot sun, what we look to as an exciting time, it's time for them to work, and we appreciate that. So go ahead and just thank them for that time that they spent with us and for us to get an incredible event wrapped up. It's wrapping up today, I believe. This is Saturday when the show is going across the airwaves for the first time. So once again, thank you for the work that you do, and to all our local community members who put on county fairs, who make sure that that is safe. I saw several police officers walking around the Taylor County Fair. We went for Monster Truck Monday, and we went to the Demolition Derby. Had a really good time at those two shows, and just want to say again, one more time, thank you for the show. We're going to take a quick break. This is the very short, abbreviated version of our Pause for Positivity, but I'll tell you this. I think it's necessary for us to be conscious of the people who impact us in a positive way and deliver that message to them. Sometimes we are impacted, or maybe something that is done makes us go, wow, and we forget to go and share that news. And I'm telling you, that is a contagious action. By doing that, it will change the world around us because it becomes the norm. And when you do these things, you are setting the standard and raising the bar of normalizing encouragement and compliments. That can only help the communities that we live in. And it's all because of the work that you're doing. So great job to you, the listener. Great job. Good job in doing that. Let's continue to do that throughout the week. There's our Pause for Positivity. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this quick break.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get into a question that I'm going to pose to you, and let's discuss how you can know the answer. And here's the question. Are you on track for the retirement you desire? Are you on track for retiring when you desire? And are you on track for living happy in retirement without fear and worry of running out of money? Simply put, are you on track for retirement? And if it's hard for you to answer that question, then I'm going to tell you, first of all, that it would be very smart of you to at least schedule some sort of a consultation with our team, which you can do by going to rdswealth.com, even if that's a 15-minute phone call with an advisor to lay out where you are and where you want to be. And within that 15 minutes, with no cost, we can give you a decent understanding of whether or not you are able to retire the way you desire, whether your next step should be a full-blown consultation or continuing doing exactly what you're doing. Now, it's going to be difficult for an advisor on our team to do that if you're under the age of 60. But if you're over the age of 60 and you want to know if you are on track for retirement, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN or simply set up a time for us to call you by visiting our website, rdswealth.com, and scheduling a consultation. Now, I'll give you another 5 or 10 minutes worth of information here to help you figure out if you're ready to answer this question on your own. And if you're under the age of 60, it's really important to understand what phase of retirement you are in. If you're under the age of 55, you are definitely in what we call growth phase. If you're over the age of 55, maybe between 55 and 60, it's likely that you may still be on growth phase, but very much approaching the area in which you need to be focusing on income in retirement rather than growing your portfolio. And if you're over the age of 60, it is highly likely that no matter what your goals are in retirement, you need to be focusing on slowing down the amount of risk that you have in that portfolio, continuing to take advantage of market up trends, but not having those losses hit you nearly as hard in the portfolio, which is the essence of what we discuss in a retirement income portfolio. So the income phase of retirement is upon you. And this is where it becomes critical to make the right steps. So are you on track for retirement? And a lot of times people will answer that question by looking at their retirement account. And while that is a big part of the ability to retire, there are a few things we got to square away before we do that. Number one, are you in significant debt? And is that debt bad debt? Now, we're not going to make this the entirety of the show, but we could cut an entire episode of the Retirement Matters discussing the difference between good debt and bad debt. And if you have a lot of good debt, it's not nearly as concerning to me as it would be if you have a lot of bad debt. So what is bad debt? Well, bad debt would be something on wheels, something that has a motor, or something that is costing you a significant amount of interest with no real potential to appreciate in its value. So credit card debt, furniture debt, debt on clothes, God forbid, debt on some sort of consumer product that you have taken. And a lot of times that ends up on a credit card. And my goodness, those credit card interest rates are astronomical. If you have any credit card debt, debt should be the first thing you begin to attack. To the point where if you have credit card debt, it's likely that before you ever retire, that has to be paid down to zero. And if you have a trouble with credit card debt, if you have an internal struggle with not swiping the card, then you need to cut it up or put it in a box that only one person has the key to, and maybe that's your financial advisor. I say that tongue in cheek, but the reality is spending on the credit card is putting yourself in a bigger hole. I want you to think through this with me. If I had a box that would, every dollar you put in that box, you would receive a, let's say, a 7% rate of return on that box. Or you've got another box sitting beside of that box, and that box has a 21% rate of return. Every dollar you put in box number 2 gives you 21%. Every dollar you put in box number 1 gives you a potential for 7%. Which box would you put it in? And if you're not answering box number 2, then we have a bigger problem. So box number 2 becomes the obvious choice at 21%. Then I would ask you the same question. Why are you investing in box number 1 in the stock market when you've got a box number 2 called a credit card that is costing you 21% or more? Put money in that. Get rid of the guaranteed 21% expense. And then, and only then, can you go after a potential for, let's say, a 7 or 8% rate of return, depending on where you are in your retirement journey. Now, if you can't manage the debt, especially the bad debt, then it's going to be difficult to retire. But let's just assume that debt is not an issue. Well, we've checked that off the box. And maybe we've got a mortgage, or we've got real estate debt, or we've got some sort of a debt to purchase an asset. Now, I'm not talking about an automobile. Remember, it has wheels, it has a motor. We'd like to get rid of that debt as soon as possible. It's only depreciating. But if you have an appreciating asset and you have debt on that asset and you have equity in that asset, I am not concerned about that one bit. Many people ask, well, should I pay my house off? Well, that's an emotional question. It's not a math question. The math behind it oftentimes boils down to what your interest rate is. And if your interest rate is lower than what you could get in the market, then we have another box problem. If you've got a potential for 6 or 7% in the market, box number 1, or box number 2 that only cost you 2 or 3%, and the asset is appreciating by a 1 or 2% rate every year, well, theoretically, that's a wash loan. So you've got a box that will pay you as much as 7%, or you've got a box that will pay you nothing. Which box are you putting it in? I'm putting it in the 7%. In other words, I'm putting it in the box that would be the market. I'm not putting that into my house to pay it down. Now, that is, again, the math behind it, but a lot of times emotionally, it becomes a little bit more of a, well, I want to know that I own it. And if that's the case, and the math of your cash flow works out, then let's do that. Let's pay it off. This is the type of discussion that we have, I guess is the best way to say that, with you in a full-blown consultation. We begin discussing the details of where you are in your current debt load, where you are in your current income. So let's discuss that for a second. Income. What do you make right now? Every single month, let's break it down to a paycheck. What do you make per paycheck? And can you make that in retirement? Do you even need to make that in retirement? We're going to discuss all of this right after a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters. I do want to tell you, in case you can't stick with us through this break and into the next section, if you have questions about whether or not you're on track for retirement and you are over the age of 60, you have to get that nailed down quickly. We are here to help you. rdswealth.com. If you are not for sure certain that you are on the right track and that you are ready to retire within the next 1 year or 5 years, now's the time. I'm almost begging you to do it now because of how the market has been. We are in a good spot right now to be very informed, let's just put it that way, on what your retirement account can do for you. And we want to help you with that. 270-600-PLAN is how you would set up a team meeting. You get with me or a member of the team. You're sitting down with an advisor, and you are discussing the ins and outs of your retirement journey and all the things you want retirement to be. And then we help you build the map necessary to get you there and tell you what the next steps are. It doesn't cost you a dime. Or you can set up a 15-minute phone conversation with an advisor where we will reach out to you directly and have a brief conversation around what you want out of retirement and where you are, and then again, where your next steps should be. 270-600-PLAN or rdswealth.com. Be sure that you are on track for retirement, and it's totally up to you on how you reach out for help. But if you reach out to us, we will be here to help guide you. So let's go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're jumping right into how to know if you have enough in your retirement account to sustain the amount of income you're currently making while you're working. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back right after this.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Matters, presented by R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. If you'd like to speak with us, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And if you enjoy the information in this show and would like to hear more, you can access previous shows by searching for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. We also produce a weekly newsletter. Receive it free to your email inbox by signing up online at rdswealth.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. If you have been listening up to this point, we have discussed some of the first steps that you need to begin asking yourself to make sure you're on track for retirement. And this show is really built for those who are over the age of 60. This particular show is great for those over the age of 60. If you're under the age of 60, we will hit just a little bit right at the end on things that you need to be doing, that because you're probably still on the growth side of the mountain. If you feel like you're closer to the income phase and it's not age dependent, maybe you want to retire early, then we welcome the opportunity to talk with you. But I'll tell you that if you're over the age of 60 and you are not crystal clear on whether or not you are on track for retirement, then you need to be getting in touch with us. We are retirement income specialists. This is the side of the mountain we specialize in, and there is so much to this, much more than just making sure that your investments continue to grow. You've got to have a strong plan for investments. You've got to have a strong plan for income. You got to know where your income's coming from and when to turn on things like Social Security. You got to make sure you account for taxes and inflation and long-term care expenses. And you got to know the alphabet soup of Medicare, A's and B's and C's, and which ones do we take. All of that goes into retirement planning, and it also boils down to what you want this money to do whenever you pass away, and making sure that those accounts are in the right place. So again, if you need assistance in that, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN, or simply navigate over to our website, rdswealth.com, and sign up for a 15-minute consultation where we will reach out to you when the time is convenient for your schedule. We'd love to do that. All right, so let's jump into the decision on, do you have enough money to retire? We know now that everything has kind of taken place. You know you're at least on the right track. You've got your debt under control. We've taken account of our assets. Do we have good debt or bad debt? And we've paid down the bad debt. We've even decided whether or not we should pay off the home. All of this is kind of starting to unfold. And let's look now at the amount of income that we bring in and paint what we call an income target. The goal here is to find an income gap. That income gap then is going to be the amount of money that we must pull off of our retirement account, and we will be able to answer whether or not we have enough money in the retirement account to retire. So let's go together. Let's assume that our income, every single paycheck that we bring in, we're looking for net income here. We're not looking for gross amount. We're looking for net income. What does that mean? Well, that means what I want you to do is take the amount of money you make every paycheck and multiply it by the number of paychecks you get in a year. Do you get 52 paychecks? Do you get 26 paychecks? Or do you get 24 paychecks? Maybe you get 12 paychecks. Whatever it is, multiply it by the number of paychecks you get per year and then divide it by 12 for me. That has become our new average monthly income target. Now, if you have gotten this far, you need to ask yourself, is the income that I'm making sufficient enough to live the lifestyle I desire? I ask it like this to most of our clients. If you were able to know that that amount of money that you're looking at right there was going to appear in your bank account every single month without fail, could you walk away from your job and live the lifestyle in retirement you desire? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then you've come a long way towards figuring out your income target in retirement. If the answer is no, and the answer is no because you want to live a better lifestyle, then we need to increase that. If the answer is no because you're afraid of inflation, well, we need to calculate for inflation clearly, and we will do that, or any financial advisor that is specializing in the income phase will do that if they're worth their salt. Is that how you say that? They're worth their weight, maybe? This is the type of planning that you are doing on your own to know whether or not you're even on track to retire. So let's go into the math behind it. Let's just say, for example, that you and your spouse have made $5,000 a month on average over the last 12 months, and you feel very comfortable saying that we could retire right now if we had $5,000 a month every single month for the rest of our life. Now, this is 2025 dollars, so we clearly understand that in 26, 27, 28, 29, whenever it is that we retire, it will likely be higher, but we're going to go ahead and calculate that into the management of these funds for you. At RDS Wealth, we already build that in to the calculations. So let's look right now. Could you take a snapshot and say yes or no, I'm ready and able to retire? So here's how you do this. Take that $5,000 and I want you to subtract every amount of dollar that you know you will receive due to things like pensions and or Social Security. So if it's a guaranteed source of income for you in retirement, how much is it? Now, we're going to make up a scenario here and say that you are $5,000 a month. Now you know that Social Security and pension is going to pay you $4,000 a month after doing some accounting of that. And this number now becomes what we call the income gap. The income gap for you in this scenario is $1,000 a month. If $1,000 a month is your income gap, then naturally $12,000 per year is your income gap. But the math may not be as simple for you. In real numbers, it gets a little complicated. So here's how you do it. You take your income gap and you multiply it by 12. That is now your annual income gap. That's the number we've got to work on. Take that number and divide it by 0.03. This is the dollar amount. You're staring at it right now. The dollar amount in which I would want you to be at or above before you retire. This dollar amount. And if you're looking at my calculator right here, it's $400,000 based off of our scenario, is the amount of money that you must have. Minimum, absolute minimum that you must have to make retirement work. And everyone's specifics are different. This is why it requires one-on-one attention. To know whether or not you're on the right track, if you're over the age of 60, look at that number right now and you can tell, do I have enough money in retirement? And if no, let's imagine you're only 60 and, well, Dale, I'm not really looking to retire till 67. Well, that requires a whole different type of math, and we can help you do that to know whether or not you're saving enough and what kind of targeted rate of return we need. Can't do that on the radio, unfortunately, because it's a little complicated. And the specifics are what matters. There are a lot of different things that change some of these numbers. We can help you navigate all of that and much, much more in your retirement journey. That's where we specialize. 270-600-PLAN. We want to help you understand if you're on track, and if you are or are not on track, how to keep you there, get you back on track perhaps, and then walk along with you throughout this journey. We're here to help and assist, make sure that your retirement is everything you imagined it to be, and that you can truly retire the way you desire. If you'd like a little bit more help on that, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN, or navigate to our website, rdswealth.com, and sign up for a free consultation where we'll call you when you choose. I am moving on to my last topic of the day, which is all about what's going on in the market right now with the news of Donald Trump and Elon Musk feuding with one another. If you haven't heard, things got a little heated this past week. And we had a question from a client who called in and said, how in the world can one man and one tweet impact the market so much? And we're going to go to that in at least as much detail as we can in a 2 or 3 minute conversation. We're going to tell you a little bit about how a single tweet or a little bit of news here or there can really move the market in one way or the other, positive or negative. We're going to dive into that. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to grab a drink of water real quick, and we're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's talk about the market volatility that we've been seeing based off of recent tweets. And, you know, it's not all together in any means based off of the Donald Trump and Elon Musk feud. That's not it at all. But what we do see is a lot of volatility based around market news. And unfortunately, when Donald Trump tweets, market news is made. And this is simply because Donald Trump is currently changing the landscape of how America trades with other countries. And I do believe it is for our good. For example, we are limiting a computer chip manufacturing company called NVIDIA from selling any of its top-tiered chips to China because we believe that they are weaponizing those computer chips and then turning them against us. This is a national security effort. And when he tweets this out saying NVIDIA will no longer be able to sell number 1 or number 2 computer chip in the world to anyone in China or any country pertaining to China, this hurts NVIDIA's potential earnings. And this is why companies like NVIDIA or any company that is priced to multiple years worth of earnings, and I don't really have time to get into every bit of that right here, but a company like NVIDIA is priced between 50 and 60 times future earnings. And when those future earnings are impacted, the price of that stock changes. When the potential for future earnings is diminished, the price changes. And in that capacity, it would change on a negative basis. If the potential for future earnings is increased because the company comes out and says, hey, we've got even better computer chips, and those computer chips are going to be picked up by many, many different companies, more than it ever was before, well, now you have an event where the stock may go up. Simply put, Donald Trump's tweets are making news, and news moves the market. This is the best way to say this. And for those of you who are maybe concerned about things like NVIDIA and what AI could do to the future, well, I think you have a reason to be concerned because it certainly will impact every area of our life, including our jobs. But I wouldn't concern myself with it completely erasing or replacing jobs any more than I would be if you were a bank teller. The ATM did not do away with the bank teller. It just made the bank more efficient. So my read on how AI will impact the workforce and its economy is that it will be an overall net positive as these companies become more efficient and able to service more and more people in the U.S. economy. All right, guys, and just like that, we got through the entire show, and I believe that I got through every topic that I had anticipated getting through. We spent a little bit more time on how to make sure you're on track for retirement, but hey, that's what the show is all about. And I do enjoy helping you make sure that your retirement is everything you have ever imagined. We would love an opportunity to get down into the weeds with you about your specifics in retirement and make sure that you are truly on target for the retirement you've always imagined. We can do that by reaching out to us, 270-600-PLAN or rdswealth.com, and we will be happy to sit down and discuss the details that matter. Until we talk again, whether it is in person or right here on this same station, always remember, save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and RD Smothers Wealth Management are not affiliated companies. Investing involves a risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. RD Smothers Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RD Smothers Wealth Management.